Hi, and welcome to the Thrive Alcohol Free podcast. I'm Dupe Witherick, alcohol free wellbeing and transformational coach, and the best selling author of A Cocktail of Clarity, How to Ditch Drinking, Embody a Joyful New Identity, and Thrive Alcohol Free. This podcast will show you that being alcohol free is not what the traditional narrative says. And even though alcohol is so ingrained in our society that it is okay to give yourself permission to stop drinking if you want to. And you do not have to wait until you hit rock bottom. It is certainly not boring, and I believe ditching drinking is just the start to living an extraordinary life. By getting rid of this one thing, it allows the doors to open to endless possibilities and opportunities. Each week, we will have guests on who are at various stages of the alcohol-free journey, from those who are curious to those who have been alcohol-free for years. We will also have experts on talking about different topics relating to alcohol and beyond. Through these conversations, you will discover what it means to thrive alcohol-free. Enjoy. Hi, and welcome to the latest episode of the Thrive Alcohol Free podcast. I'm so pleased you're here. And what an exciting week. I think last week was just so much fun with the episode, the 1 year anniversary of the Thrive Alcohol Free podcast. And thank you so much for the messages and the kind words about the podcasts. And it seems that quite a few people really enjoyed the What Does Thriving Alcohol Free Mean to You? So if you missed it and you didn't get a chance to listen to it, it was fab, because all the guests who've been on the episode for the past year answered, what does thriving alcohol free mean to you? So if you would like to be inspired, if you are doing Sober October and you've started that this week, then go and listen to that episode, because it really will encourage you and inspire you to hear what thriving alcohol free means and know that that's what you could potentially get to. So thank you for everyone who's been a guest, who has listen to the podcast. I'm very grateful. And here's to year 2 of the podcast. It is Sober October. If you are doing it, fabulous. 31-day break from alcohol. I wonder what's inspired you to do it. You maybe found this podcast off the back of saying you're going to do Sober October. I hope you've written down your why and the reason that you want to take this 31-day break, because that will help you keep going. And if you are just starting out on this alcohol-free journey, I'd love you to download my 3-day Kickstart guide. And that is a guide to stopping drinking for 3 days. And obviously, you've decided to do 31 days, but you can use a lot of the resources and the tools in that guide to help you through this period. So I hope you download the guide. If you are doing Sober October, which is a great opportunity to take a break from alcohol for 31 days, then I think it's fabulous. But if you want to go a bit further, imagine getting to 12 weeks from now where you no longer think about alcohol. You are calm and have full clarity and confidence on your next chapter. You're happier, you're more present in your relationships, you've got that promotion at work, and you're living your amazing alcohol-free life. When people see you, they're saying how incredible you look and how engaged you are. And they're saying there's something different about you, and you realize that your confidence has grown and you're stepping into the person you've been dreaming of becoming for a long time. And it doesn't have to be a dream. Ditch Drinking for Good is designed to transform your life. And so if you crave a life where alcohol is insignificant and you are truly living your best life, then this program is for you. If you're thinking about taking a break from alcohol for Sober October, or you've recently started on your alcohol-free journey and you want to do this in community, then join Ditch Drinking for Good. This exclusive, intimate group coaching program is designed for you to successfully go through Sober October and beyond. It's a 12-week program and is exactly what you need if you're ready to take a break from alcohol and take your life to the next level. It focuses on shifting your mindset and identity around alcohol, establishing new habits, and fostering a supportive alcohol-free lifestyle through modules that cover topics like what alcohol really is, nutrition and sleep, managing relationships, emotional resilience, goal setting, plus much, much more. You'll learn practical tools to help you manage cravings, create an alcohol-free toolkit, enjoy alcohol-free firsts, discover passions and hobbies, and build healthy habits and routine, plus much more. You'll get coaching and mentoring with practical tools and resources along the way, plus community support and accountability. And this is all within a compassionate, safe, non-judgmental container. So what do you get? Over these 12 weeks, you get weekly live coaching, you get video modules on key topics, private community, one-to-one coaching session with me, tools and resources. You'll get an accountability partner to give you extra support, lifetime access to content, like-minded new friends to inspire and support you on your alcohol-free journey. And that's not it. You're also going to get a load of bonuses. So you'll get one-to-one human design session with me to discover your authentic selves. And you'll get the definitive guide to alcohol-free drinks. You'll also get Quit Lit reading recommendation, an EFT for craving alcohol, and we'll do other EFTs as well throughout the period. Affirmations for self-love, and at the end of the year, we'll be doing a 2025 intention setting workshop. So as it's Sober October, I wanted to make Ditch Drinking for Good accessible. So this is the lowest investment ever for the huge amount of value that you are getting. And there's also a 3-month payment plan option. So if this is calling you, I can't wait to welcome you into the program. Don't wait, there are limited spots available. And so you can find out more and sign up. We start the first coaching session on Tuesday, the 8th of October. So if you are looking to take that break, if you want to do something that's more longer term, then I encourage you to join us and be part of the Ditch Drinking for Good group coaching program. And I can't wait to guide you and see your transformation over the coming weeks. Okay, so I'm delighted to have Sharon Hartley on. We seem to be continuing on a theme with amazing Quit Lit authors. Sharon is almost 6 years alcohol-free, and she's the co-host of the Over the Influence podcast and the co-host of the Over the Influence community. Her first book is due to be released in January 2025, and I love the name of it. It's called The Life-Changing Magic of Quitting Alcohol. Stop drinking and start living. So I am delighted to have Sharon on the podcast. I was on the Over the Influence podcast, I think it was December, January time. It was so much fun. We had such a fab conversation, and I think this one is equally fab. It's wonderful to have Sharon on Thrive Alcohol Free podcast. So here is Sharon. So welcome, Sharon. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. It's so lovely to see you again. How are you?
You know what? I'm really well, thank you. The sun is shining. I've got to say though, it's like the shoe is on the other foot, Dupe, because I'm normally sitting where you are and chatting to the guests, so it feels really strange and the other way around. But I'm really excited to be here, and thank you so much for the invitation. I'm chuffed to bits.
Oh, well, thank you for being on. It's amazing to have you. And obviously, and I've been on your podcast and it was fun doing it the other way around. But it's always, you're right, it's always a bit strange when you're asked the questions instead of you asking the questions. So hopefully this will be an enjoyable experience, Sharon. I won't be too harsh.
Absolutely. Listen, I'll answer. Well, yeah, I think I'll answer anything you ask me. Just go for it. Go for it. Not a problem.
Oh, bless you. Okay, so for those people that might not know you and might not know what Over the Influence is, maybe give a brief introduction and we can go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Sharon Hartley. You might be able to tell from the accent that I live in Lancashire, which is in the northwest of England. Married, 3 kids. They're getting older now. Eldest is 23. Daughter's just turned 21. And the youngest, who's the little baby, he's just left high school. So he's 16. I've got a beagle, he's called Bo, and a tortoise. Actually, a lot of people don't know that about me. I've got a tortoise called Humphrey.
Oh, I love that.
And he loves it in the sunshine because he sort of speeds up. He's like got solar panels on his back. Anyway, we're not here to talk about my animals. We're here to talk about alcohol-free life. I suppose the first thing I'm really keen to share is that I never meant to be here, as in podcasting, as in sober, alcohol-free, living a life without alcohol, talking to you now. Rewind 7 years, and I was up to my neck in it, basically, like quite literally with the alcohol. And so 6 years ago, as we speak, it was the back end of summer 2018. I thought, well, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to take a break from alcohol. I'm going to do 90 days. I failed at the dry Januaries. I only ever got to like the first weekend. I did a handful of sober Octobers, but I was always like clinging on for dear life, waiting for that day where I could go, right, let me drink again. And instead of using it as maybe an experiment to reduce my amounts and the frequency, I ramped it up even more because I felt like I had a month to catch up on. So that was my original plan, to do 90 days. And then, like a grown up, I would obviously go back to alcohol, but in a more moderate way, in a sensible way, in a sophisticated way. And to cut some of a 6-year long story short, everything began to change during that time. So when I got to about 70, 80 days, I thought, flipping heck, I'm going to have to go for the year. I'm going to have to see what that's like. And during the course of that 12 months is when the magic started to happen. And I thought, I'm just going to keep going and see where this takes me. And then because of that, Over the Influence was born, the podcast. We've now got an online community that I do with my co-founder and friend, Ben Anderson, who is also alcohol free. I've got the job of my dreams that I don't believe would have happened had I still been drinking. And I've got a book coming out next year. And it's like, wow. And I think all of that comes from the foundation of making that decision to remove booze from my life like 6 years ago.
Yeah. How incredible, and congratulations on all of it. And the
Thank
book especially. That's so exciting, so
Thank
exciting.
you.
What made you then, at the end of the summer, as we're coming to the end of the summer here, and I've been doing the alcohol-free August challenge this summer. So August is obviously the worst time of year to stop, because they're the holidays and everything else. But people have been doing this challenge with me. So I've been going live on Instagram every day and encouraging people to stop drinking for the month of August and hopefully continuing into September and onwards. But what was it that finally broke the camel's back, as it were, and you got to the 3rd of September? Had that summer been anything different to
No,
other
it had just
summers?
been, it had
Or
been this, can I swear, the
yeah, of
same old
course.
shit year after year after year. There was nothing different about that summer, but I knew that I knew I had to start somewhere. And again, I didn't want to stop drinking. I just thought I should, I should have this break. But the way my summers were in the past, the minute the kids finished school when they were younger, that was a signal to ramp it up again. And I'd drink through the summer and I'd get to September and the kids are going back to school and you're like, I'm knackered. I've put on another half a stone. I'm bloated. I've cancelled plans. I've not done the things I wanted to do with family. I've not done the things I've wanted to do for myself. So no, there was nothing spectacular about that summer. It was just the same old, like functioning below par, looking for any opportunity to drink. Oh, the sun's shining, let's drink. It's Tuesday, let's drink. And I always say to people when they ask me, people assume that you've hit some sort of terrible rock bottom. But for me, it was a case of too much, too quickly, too often, every day. The amounts I think are irrelevant and they help nobody. Because if I was to share with you the amount I was drinking, one of your listeners now could go, well, I'm not as bad as Shaz, so I'm all right. But if it's too much for you, it might not be all right. So the amounts are irrelevant. But I think what happened, I was 44 when I started doing this. It was just before my 45th birthday, so slap bang in the middle of my 40s. And it just sort of crept up on me, Dupe. It was, I turned around and I was like, oh God, when did daily drinking become a thing? When was that normal? And it really bit me firmly on my ever-expanding arse. So I decided to do something about it. I look back now at my 40s, or at least half of my 40s, compared to where I am now in my 50s, and I just think, oh my God, wow, the relief that I finally sort of plucked up the courage, I suppose, to do it, and not just do it, but stick with it and then start shouting about it, because I feel so passionate about letting people know that actually there is another way. You don't need to be trapped.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's so true, isn't it? Because so many people will just assume, it's so ingrained in our society that if you say you're not drinking, everyone assumes that you had a problem.
What's
And a
the
lot of
problem?
people, exactly, and a lot of people stop themselves. And I really like what you said about not saying the amounts, because
Yeah.
I say something similar. I say, if you think that taking alcohol out of your life could help you physically, emotionally, mentally, or spiritually, no matter how much you're drinking, do it, right?
Yeah.
If it can make your life better in some way, just stop. But the other thing you mentioned was that you were in your mid-40s. And again, so many of us find that when we hit 40, alcohol starts becoming a bit worse. It doesn't seem to
Yeah.
settle. It doesn't seem to work like it did before. Hangovers
It's
are a
not, it's
lot
not quite, it's
worse.
not the
You
same
know,
as when we were in our
it's not,
20s,
it's not the
DP, is
same.
it?
And that has a lot to do with obviously hormones and perimenopause and menopause and all of that. But again, people just aren't aware of it either, that the links
Yeah,
between alcohol and all.
and I think as well, what you said there, just to pick up on menopause, talking about women in particular, when you're drinking regularly and you are feeling below par and you've got headaches and your body's aching and you've got low mood and you've got anxiety maybe for the first time ever, you're thinking, oh God, it's the alcohol, it's the alcohol. When actually what is happening, and what I then realized, was that it was this ridiculous mix of perimenopause kicking in, daily drinking, feeling awful. But once you remove the booze and you've got this list of symptoms that's as long as your arm still happening, you can then go, oh, hang on a minute. It's not the alcohol. Actually, depending on what age you are and whatever your symptoms are, perimenopause is starting to kick in. And as well as making you feel better because you're not poisoning yourself on the daily, you're able to actually take action with clarity and phone a health professional and do what you need to do to improve whatever you may be feeling at the time. And that's definitely important. But couple that with this stage of life, when you are a woman in midlife, be it 40 onwards, earlier for some people, you've got responsibilities at home, you might have older kids, you might be looking after older parents, or whatever it might be, or the stresses of life. You're using the alcohol to medicate some of that, aren't you? And so it's like this perfect storm of hormones, booze, life, and you're like, oh God. But if you jump off that wheel, that I call it the hangover hamster wheel of hell. If you jump off, you might fall, you might stumble, you might hurt your ankles a little bit, but I tell you what, the payoff is, God, it's worth it. I wouldn't waste my breath talking about it as much as I do, but if I didn't feel it was so worth it.
Yeah, and I love that hangover hamster wheel of hell. I agree with you.
Relentless.
It is relentless. It is constant, isn't it? And you're right. We are just doing it to either we're looking to create some sort of feeling or we're looking to escape from a feeling, aren't we?
Yeah, completely.
And that's the crutch and that's the way to do it. And that, again, that's only because that's what we automatically do. We automatically reach, we don't question it. We don't pause and think there's a different way. So I love the fact that we're all talking about it now, and people that generally stop drinking, there's a reason everyone's talking about it, because it is the best kept secret, right? If you want life to be slightly better.
It works, like it literally works. I didn't want to stop drinking. I didn't believe what anybody said, that things are going to improve. And it sounds like a real sweeping statement to say that if you think about how your life might be impacted negatively by drinking at whatever level, once that's removed, and I can say this from experience, personal experience, and from the people we've spoken to on the podcast, our community members, there isn't one aspect of life that isn't impacted positively once alcohol is out of the equation. But I also think I need to add as well, it's a bit of a disclaimer, is if you've been drinking for many years, decades or whatever it might be, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years, and you stop safely and you remove the alcohol, it's not all going to change overnight. It begins to, of course it does, the immediate effects of not waking up feeling like crap, and then my face started to deflate and the color returned to my eyes and things like that. But the bigger changes, the life changes, it all takes time. So I think it's really important that people know that you need the patience of a saint and balls of steel for some of it. Well, you will get there eventually. It doesn't happen overnight. There's a lot of unlearning to do, isn't there, with regards to alcohol and what we thought we knew and believed about it.
Absolutely. And I say when you stop drinking, it's a personal development, personal growth program that you're
Frightening,
going
it's
on,
terrifying.
because so much
Terrifying.
changes and you're having to really deal with all the emotions and deal with just being different, how you navigate relationships, how you manage alcohol-free first, all of those things, just as you say, unlearning, deconditioning,
Yeah.
doing something that's completely alien, finding new things to do in place of it, and being comfortable trying different things. And we'll come on to over the influence and climbing hill mountains and
Oh,
bits.
we
We'll
like the
come on to that.
mountains. We love the
But you know,
mountains.
but all of these things, you have to be brave, really,
Yeah.
don't you? And
Yeah, we
it is
do.
a personal growth journey.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember, Dupe, when in my drinking days, like if somebody said to me amateur dramatics or afternoon tea or an afternoon cinema day, and I've gone, oh, bore off. That no, thank you. Is the Prosecco at the afternoon tea? Well, I might do that. In sobriety, oh my God, I can't get enough afternoon teas down my neck. It's like literally the best thing to do with your mates. I joined an amateur dramatic society about 2 years ago, and I ended up on the stage doing Calendar Girls. I'm not even joking. It was like the best thing I've ever done in my
Amazing.
life. It was
Yeah.
just epic fun, and it was making new connections, meeting new people, where I didn't have to explain why I was no longer drinking because literally nobody cared. Because it's like, oh, hello, you're Sharon, are you? Right, yeah, okay. We're going to the pub after rehearsals. Do you want to come? Yeah, fine, I can drive, that's fine. End of sentence. That's it. None of this.
Yeah.
Just have one. Why are you not drinking? What's the problem? So that was really really refreshing. But I think what you said to pick up on as well, it's so important when you do decide to take that extended break as a start or stop or whatever it looks like for you. You've got to plug the gaps with something. And for me, it was Friday nights at first. Oh God, I literally the first sort of 5 6 weeks, I was literally sat on the settee crying at home, going, well, this is crap. This is boring. This is hell. This is horrible. I was sort of ignoring the fact that I was starting to feel better, but I hadn't really changed anything else. And I thought, well, okay, I'll go to a flipping park run then at 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning. And that became a little building block and a stepping stone. And you're like, oh, actually, that feels quite good. I'm going to join this group. I'm going to go for a 5K walk. I'm going to watch a film, read a book about quitting alcohol, listen to a podcast. And it's starting to fill those gaps where you would normally have drunk. And I think that's massively important. And perhaps we'll talk a little bit later on about the importance of connection as well, and how it's so important to find people that get it, because I think it can be a lonely road at first, a painfully lonely road, and it can be really isolated if you think you're the only person on this planet that, one, may have an issue with alcohol, and two, you're doing it on your own. I can guarantee you're not. You're absolutely not.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. And so you stopped. We'll come on to all of that because there's so much here, and
There's too
I'm
much to talk
excited for
about.
it. So much to talk about. But you stopped drinking, and you said obviously those first 5 weeks on the Friday night, you felt sorry for yourself. So the 5 weeks that you spent feeling miserable, what flipped? What changed?
I just knew that I had to do something else. I knew that I had to fill the gaps. And the longer I went, the better I started to feel. And it sort of grows day on day, doesn't it? These little alcohol-free wins, be it doing something with the kids on a weekend morning. I started clearing out like cupboards and drawers and stuff like that. It was so dull. I'm going to sort the spice rack tonight because I'm not getting lashed on my own on the settee. And it was just starting to change the way that I thought about it, and actually that it was okay to say no as well to invites and to do the things that you may have normally done in the past. I think for somebody trying to stop drinking or take that break and say no to alcohol for the time being or forever or whatever, you don't need to be in a busy bar with people getting pissed. It's not going to work, So I began to completely and utterly throw myself into alcohol-free life. I absorbed all the books, the podcasts, the communities. I changed all my accounts on socials. I used to follow all the, mummy drinks wine, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, mummy's coping juice and all this crap that infuriates me now.
Yeah.
And once I started to change that and I followed the sober accounts, and again, if you listen to this and this is something you haven't done, do it. The sober community on socials it's a phenomenal place. That's how we connected.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
brilliant. And the support amongst the sober community and people in it it's like nothing I've ever seen on the internet. The internet can be a pretty nasty place at times, but in the sober community, it's incredibly supportive. So changing those accounts, it then sends you new accounts, and the algorithms reading your brain and all the rest of it. It was making those changes, and things started to turn a corner. And I thought, oh, they were right. It's quite good, this, isn't it?
And it is, isn't it? It's I told you so, and you don't want to admit it, do you?
No, don't tell me that. Thank you. I didn't want to know.
Our story's so similar because I had a similar thing where people were telling me, this is amazing. And I was like, no, it's not.
No.
You're saying that I shouldn't drink over Christmas. No, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And it is amazing how every day it gets better and you see more, and it's fantastic. And then obviously you then went on to create Over the Influence. So why don't we talk about that for a bit?
Yeah, it's just so amazing. And again, this sounds a little bit wanky. So it's all been organic, all this personal growth and this community. It's all come from being vocal about sobriety, because I'm really passionate about shouting quite loudly about it for the people at the back that are nervous, that are apprehensive, that are lonely, that feel isolated. So we started the podcast. Me and Ben had literally, I think we had like two listeners. So it had been Ben's dad and my mum going, oh, it's very good, you know. It's very good. Thank you. We might get 3 listeners next week. And then it sort of evolved into telling the stories of people that had stopped drinking. So Over the Influence, if you can moderate, fantastic. We don't discuss it because it doesn't work for us. We sort of don't go, oh, have a couple, you'll be all right. For us, none is better than one. And so we're really clear on, well, that's our standpoint, basically. That's what we shout about. So all our guests do not drink. And we talk to people that have had incredibly distressing rock bottoms, whatever that might be. And in some cases, we're just so thankful that it didn't take them to the places it took them to, and they're able to share their stories because it just gives hope and inspiration and motivation. And then we will talk to people who may have just drunk a bit and stopped, yet still their life has changed. And we're really keen to let people know as well that you don't need to wait for that rock bottom. You don't need to be clinging on. You don't need to wait for it to become just absolutely awful that you have to stop drinking. You know, you can make a decision at any point in your life to make that change. And so the stories are from alcohol-free authors, social media influencers, and I like to describe people as basically ordinary people that have done extraordinary things, and it's just fantastic. And then on the back of that came the community, because people started getting in touch saying, where can I join a community? Have you got a group? And we're like, no, maybe we should. And then that was born, and we started with a couple of Zoom calls, and people were literally queuing up to connect with other like-minded people. And then the community was born 3 years ago. We've had the community now, and it is just amazing. There's no judgment. There's no looking down on people, wherever they may be or whatever. And I say we don't care. We care massively. It doesn't matter about your backstory. It doesn't matter what's brought you to this point. And it's just a bunch of like-minded individuals all on the same path, connecting from across the world. And it is honestly, truly bloody wonderful. I love it.
Oh, so fantastic. When you set goals, everyone wants to get things done in 6 months or in a few months. And it's amazing what can happen over the course of 3 years, 5 years, if you're patient enough to let it grow. Because you can get really despondent, can't you, if things aren't happening straight away. But your community is massive, and you've done so many things. You do so many events and everything else, and we'll come on to that. But in 3 years, it's a really long stretch of time to have created such an amazing community.
It's amazing. And like, again, as I mentioned about the podcast with 2 listeners, the community started with 2 people in it, myself and Ben. And then we were saying to people, just have a look at this. What do you think of this? And then some more people came in and some more people came in. And what we thought would happen didn't. Again, it's all very organic. We have people still join us now that are 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got somebody at 10 years sobriety who still need and want that connection with other people, because yes, it's changing. Yes, I've seen massive changes over the last 6 years in terms of acceptance and alcohol-free drinks and socializing. But sometimes it's still very hard if you're the only person in your social friendship group that's doing it. So to find your people and just be able to talk and actually celebrate those wins. We have people that go, oh my God, I've just done my first week sober in possibly 20 years. And you're like, well, that is brilliant. Have some cake. And then have another piece. And then people are celebrating mega milestones. But it's about being in a place where you can share completely honestly. And that's not to say everybody in there is winning at life, but it's not without its ups and downs. As you know, an alcohol-free journey, the J word, it's never linear. People are up and down and struggle and may fall off and come back, and it's all okay. You know, you will get there in the end. There's no right or wrong way of doing it.
And I think that's absolutely right. And it happens at the right time for everyone as well, doesn't it? That's what I
Exactly,
firmly believe. It really
Yeah.
does. So you're climbing mountains all the time. That's what I seem to see. But tell us about some of the things you've been doing as Over the Influence, because obviously it's much wider than the podcast and the community.
Yeah, so we started organising events in real life. And again, we thought, will anybody come? And so we started off doing the Yorkshire Three Peaks, which actually we're doing again in a couple of weeks' time. But I'm not actually walking that one. Thank God. I'm providing support in the vehicle. I'll be handing out bananas and stuff like that. So I've got a proper easy job on that day. So we've got Yorkshire Three Peaks. We've done Ben Nevis twice, where we all stay in a youth hostel. I need to add as well, we do this properly. We have guides that are leading the way, mountain experts. We sort the events and we're on the events. We have actual experts leading them. Ben Nevis, Snowdon, the team did Snowdon. Actually, I just had an operation on the Friday, and on the Saturday they were doing a sunrise hike at Snowdon. And I don't know if you remember, Dupay, it was the night of the Northern Lights or the morning of the Northern Lights. So I'm getting all these pictures while I'm in my hospital bed on morphine, going, oh, Shaz, look what you're missing. Sunrise here, Northern Lights there. And it was just beautiful. And then the same happened at Ben Nevis. That was last month. I didn't walk it again. I was recovering, but I was up in the Highlands with them. And it was clear skies at the top and sunshine. But I think what is key about these events, and this is why we do it, it's the connection. Again, is what it comes down to. It's that community. It's making new friends. But it's people achieving things that they did not think possible. And those achievements, it doesn't have to be walking the UK's highest mountain. It can be picking up your paintbrushes for the first time in 30 years. It can be discovering your love of reading again. It can be taking up a new hobby. It doesn't need to be a physical thing. But once we see people achieving things and connecting with things, and obviously people come on the events and they're really anxious at first, and you not only you're doing it sober. So in the past, where you might have had a couple of livelihs or whatever to ease the social anxiety, you're doing this raw. You've got to feel the feels, as they say. And at the end of the weekend, we see people connecting and hugging and going, oh my God, right, when's the next one? And safe to say, and I'm not saying this because this is what I've been told, it's life-changing. So if you find your people, find your tribe, whatever it might be, it can be utterly life-changing. So good. You don't have to get piss wet through up a mountain, though, to do that. There are other ways.
But we do love our mountains as well. They're cool. But yeah, I agree. I think there's so much there. And it really goes to show, as adults, our main pastime for 10, 20, 30 years before we suddenly discover not drinking is drinking. That's it. And we forget that you can actually do other things, and we rarely achieve things. It just becomes a bit of a mundane, go to work, come back, maybe get a promotion at some point, have kids. Of course, there were wonderful things, but we don't really achieve. And we almost give up on ourselves as well. And so when you become alcohol free, you do get this new sense of, I'm going to try it. I'm going to be brave. I'm going to do it.
Yeah, for me, it feels like a bit like a second chance. And it's completely breathtaking in terms of where I am now and where I was. And I sometimes stop and think, God, where would I be today if I'd have carried on drinking at the rate I was? And I think, oh God, it makes my face ache. I just don't want to think about that. And I am so grateful and so relieved. I use that word relief quite a lot, that I made the change, because I wouldn't be in the job that I'm doing now. I skip to work every day. I adore it. It is just brilliant. The podcast, the community, all the opportunities. you're more inclined to say yes to things, as you say, Dupe, about being brave. And I just think it lifts the lid on your world because it's all in there already. You don't sort of well, you do become a new person, but it's already in there. And I think alcohol, it just keeps it all hidden and it dulls it. And until you remove it, that's the point when opportunities start and you do gain a bit more confidence and you do start saying yes to the things that maybe float your boat rather than yes to people please. So yeah, I could talk about this for hours.
Yeah, so good, so good. And I'm hoping this is encouraging whoever's listening to stop drinking, take a break. It's amazing. And keep going if you're already on the journey.
Absolutely.
So the other achievements that obviously you've reeled off a load of achievement that have happened in the past 6 years, but your book, this is so
Oh,
exciting.
it
So
sounds ridiculous when you say it out loud.
you're an author,
Honestly.
Sharon.
Well, it's not published yet. I mean, flipping heck. It's crazy. And I don't want to sit here going like, oh, look at everything I've done. Look at all this brilliant stuff. I, your brilliant things they're going to be relevant to you. But the point I want to make is that once you've removed the booze, you're giving yourself a chance at literally anything. And yeah, the book thing, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Given where I was with the drinking and the amounts I was drinking and the frequency of the drinking, if you'd have told me back then, Sharon, will you write a book and you're going to call it the life-changing magic of quitting alcohol, stop drinking, start living. I'd have said, no, get lost, pour me another wine, please, because that sounds boring. And yet here we are. And it has just been the most incredible opportunity. And again, I'm just so very grateful that I've been fortunate enough to be in a position to be able to do this. It's amazing. And it comes back to what I said at the beginning, the podcast, the community, and now the book. I just want people to know there's another way. Like literally, there is another way. If you're miserable, if you're hating yourself, if you're under par, if you've got sort of dreams and ambitions that you're not fulfilling and you can't be asked, give yourself a chance. Give yourself a chance. You just never know where it's going to lead. Yeah, crazy. Author, please. I love it. It's so funny.
Well, you're allowed to take it. Take it. Take the
I am.
compliment.
I'll take it and run.
Take
I'm
it
gonna go for
all. Take it
it.
and run. It's amazing. So, when's the book out? And do you want to tell us a bit about it?
Yeah, of course I will. Yeah, no problem at all. So the book is being released on the 2nd of January, 2025. So you'll be able to get that on Amazon. There will be other places, but I've not got confirmation of the nitty-gritty on that yet. And quite simply, it does what it says on the tin. It's the life-changing magic of quitting alcohol, stop drinking, start living. And I suppose it's a bit of a friendly handhold through those first 100 really, really tricky days. It's going to let you know that it's okay to say no. It's going to give you some top tips, some advice, some shared experiences on how to navigate maybe your first big social occasion or Christmas, New Year, whatever it might be, how you might feel going through this process, and that there is absolutely light at the end of the tunnel. I want people to pick it up and read it and go, you know what, I can do that. Yeah, I can do that. And if it's not for you at the end of 100 days, c'est la vie, you've tried it. I've yet to meet one person, Dupay, over the last 6 years, be it a guest on the podcast or in the community, that hasn't done 100 days and gone, I'm going back to what I was doing now. They all say, bloody hell, you were right. Like you say, don't want to say I told you so. But it's true. Just give yourself a chance. And it is life-changing. And it doesn't have to be the big stuff. It can be the small stuff, but it's the culmination of all those small little things. And something I always say as well is that every day you don't drink, there's something glorious in it. It might be pegging your washing out first thing in the morning if it's a nice breezy day because you're up and on it. It might be having the courage to go for a job interview or a job promotion that you thought, should I do this? It might be reconnecting with an old friend that you've not been in touch with. Whatever it is, I used to see these birds when I used to get up early and go and do my morning walks, the oyster catchers. And every time I hear them now, it takes me back to those horrific early days of sobriety. But that was my little bit of joy in that day. And all those little bits keep going. They keep getting better. They keep getting brighter. And it does lead to bigger things. It's pretty much guaranteed that things get a whole lot better. Not without bumps in the road, but like a roller coaster at times. But yeah, it's worth it.
Yeah, it's so true. And I think it's really important to highlight that because we all say, oh, well, I've run a marathon. Oh, I've done this, I've done that. And it isn't about what we've all done.
No.
It is about giving people, I think, knowledge that they can do anything they want. And we're the same, we're normal. There's nothing extraordinary that you haven't got inside you. And I do think that acknowledging the little things in life is something that I certainly wasn't doing when I was drinking.
I mean, I
I
wouldn't have paid
wasn't
any attention.
noticing. I
No, you
wasn't
don't notice.
noticing. You don't
Too busy, like,
notice.
oh, what time is it? Is it time for a drink yet? When can I
Exactly.
drink? What can I drink?
Exactly.
Will I have enough drink? How am I going to recover from the drink? I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll have another bloody drink. And you're in this cycle of booze where it just, yeah, and you've no time. Or you don't think you've got any time to look at anything else or enjoy anything else. But yeah, remove it. Oh, my word. It's so much brighter, isn't it?
I know, I know. And those little things are actually just wonderful. Looking up at the clouds, looking at the stars, just taking things in that are just ordinary things do seem extraordinary when you're not drinking. And that's what gives you the joy and that's what keeps you going. I love that. And so the book is very exciting.
It's ridiculously exciting. I still can't believe it's happening.
Maybe talk a bit about how you felt writing it and what inspired you to write it. And we'd love to hear that.
How did I feel? Ridiculously excited. And again, back to the word gratitude, really grateful for the opportunity. I've worked with an amazing team, Aurum Publishers, who've just been brilliant. And my, excuse me for saying this, sounds so ridiculous, my agent, my literary agent, Hannah, who has got the patience of a saint, because obviously I've never written a book before. It's like, where do you start? How do you do it? How do I get all these crazy thoughts down on paper, thousands upon thousands of words? And it's been a really long process. I've been working at this probably for the best part of 12 months on and off, with in between work and family and a bit of a hospital stay. And I'm on the other side of it now. And I just feel really proud, ridiculously proud. And I also feel really excited in the hope that if it changes one person's life, or at least gives them, I don't know, maybe a little bit of courage to do it and just to try it, just to see what it's like, then for me, that is job done, basically. Yeah, it's crazy. And the title being the life-changing magic, that's how I sum it up for me. That's what it's been like for me. It has been magical. It has been life-changing. Again, not without its challenges. Life still happens. You've still got stuff to navigate. But again, if you're doing it without booze in the equation, you can get through it absolutely with clarity and without numbing it all out. So yeah, ridiculously excited. I still can't believe it, to be honest. So thank you for the opportunity though, for being able to talk about it. It's much appreciated.
Oh, not at all. I'm really excited for you. I think it's going to be epic and it's definitely going to help people. And I just feel that this topic and this alcohol-free movement, shall we say, is growing and it's so needed. And we can be in a bit of a bubble, I think, and maybe I'm talking for you, Sharon, but this is how I experience it. We're in this bubble where we think everyone gets it, everyone is doing this, because that's what we're surrounded with all the time. And we're obviously talking about it all the time. But there's so many people still that need to hear the story, and books are a great way to get that out there.
And as well, what I want people to take from it is real like hope, because through the course of the book, and I've got to do a huge thank you to, again, Over the Influence and our amazing community members. I feature about 10 case studies from the community, and this is people all ages, all across the world, all different levels of drinking. You'll have somebody who says, okay, I'm a 50-year-old grey area drinker. Somebody over here says, I'm a 45-year-old recovering alcoholic, and everything in between. And these are the words of those people saying, this is what I did. This is where I was at, and this is where I'm at now. And it just gives you just hope and motivation that it's never too late and you can do it. Yeah. And I keep saying it again, it's so worth it. I just wouldn't waste my time doing what I do if I didn't think it was. Yeah, really good.
Yeah. And it's never too late is a really well said point, because that's another thing that puts people off. They're like, well, what's the point in doing it now? What's the point in doing my 60s? What's the point in doing it in my
You know,
50s? Whatever.
can I just share something with you on that? So again, we've got all different ages in the community, maybe youngest 30s and our oldest member. Well, I don't actually know, and he won't mind me sharing this because we've recorded with him for the podcast. I think it's coming out in a couple of weeks' time, and he's a wonderful chap called Raphael, and he is coming up for 65. And he, at the time of recording, he was about 570 days alcohol free. You've got to listen
Wow.
to this episode because Raphael found us in Venezuela, of all places on the planet. Venezuela, our little podcast
Gosh.
reached him when he was
Wow.
hungover. And he told us, and I'm not speaking, breaking any confidences here, you're going to hear his story on the podcast. He drank for 50 years, like 50. That's 5 decades of drinking. And he stopped. He's stopped drinking, and his life has changed at the age of 65. And it's utterly phenomenal. And he will reiterate that point that it's not too late. I applaud people that do this in their 20s and 30s. I think you've just saved yourself decades of pain and wasted money. But Raphael's story is, again, one of real inspiration. It's just not too late, ever. And his life has changed in ways that he's just bowled over with.
Well, amazing. Well, I will be listening and I'll get everyone else to listen to it. So that
Thank
sounds
you.
fantastic. Sounds fantastic. It is amazing. I think you have completely sold it, Sharon. If anyone who was listening
I hope
thinking,
so.
doubting whether but they've been thinking about taking a break and not sure, I think this episode's definitely going,
And you
going
know
to
what, as
encourage
well,
them.
again, it's really important to say this. When people stop, they go, God, is this it forever now? Because for me, it can be bloody miserable in those first few weeks. No is the answer to that question. You do not have to say, I'm doing this for a year, I'm doing this forever. That's the end of that. It's a big breakup with alcohol. Just give yourself a chance for those first couple of months, those first 100 days. Break the back of it and then reassess, like I did. And then you'll get a few months down the line and you'll go, this is all right, this. And then reassess again. At no point do you have to say, I am never drinking alcohol again. It took me probably, 3 years, maybe 2, 3 years in. I thought, I'm well and truly done. I am absolutely done. I feel really proud that I now make the choice not to drink. It's not a case of, oh, I can't, or I really want one. It's all gone. It all changes. So don't feel overwhelmed at the thought of it. Just do it for now. See how you get on and make the start.
Yeah, and you're right, absolutely right. People can give themselves permission to make that choice to stop for 21 days, 30 days, whatever it is. They don't even need to do the 100 days, but 100 days is the sweet spot. But a lot of people think, I need to do this forever, or this is forever
Yeah.
now. And it's not helpful
It's
thinking like
not. If
that.
I'd have thought, Dupe, when I took that first break, that was it, I'd have crumbled at the first week. It was just such an overwhelming target or statement. You don't need to say that. You absolutely don't. But I think what a really good thing to do is talk to other people. If you've got a friend or a family member or even a stranger on the internet, and without sounding weird, I'm talking about in the sober communities, you connect with an account that you really like and people start chatting on there. Obviously do it safely. Those connections, if you can confide in somebody and actually share what you're doing, already then you've got that little bit of accountability, particularly if somebody else is doing it with you, and because
Yeah.
then you begin to support each other. So yeah, don't feel overwhelmed and just break it down and yeah, go for it. Why not? What have you got to lose? Like literally, what have you got to lose? Nothing.
So well said. So where can people find you, and how do they connect with you, Sharon?
Oh, thank you so much. The website, so overtheinfluence.co.uk. We are on Instagram and Facebook. Instagram, it is at alcohol free pod. I think it's the same at on Facebook, but if you just search Over the Influence, you'll find us there. Feel free to email us as well anytime. You will get a personal reply. Might not be within 24, 48 hours, but I get there eventually. I will reply to your emails. OTIHQ, overtheinfluence.co.uk. And if you are interested at all in my book, The Life-Changing Magic of Quitting Alcohol, Stop Drinking, Start Living. You'll be able to find that on Amazon, and that comes out on the 2nd of January 2025. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you, Jupe.
Oh, you're most welcome. So, as with all my guests, I ask the final question, which is, what does thriving alcohol-free mean to you? And I know you've said so much. It's obvious you're thriving alcohol-free, but maybe in a sentence, what does it mean to you, Sharon?
I realise I've been shuddering non-stop for the best part of an hour, so I'll keep this really brief. I can sum it up in one word: freedom. That's what it means to me. Complete and utter freedom.
I love it. Love it. Absolutely. So thank you so much. It's been just wonderful to have you on and to
Thank
connect
you.
again. And best of luck with the book. I can't wait to hear about all the success that you're going to have with it. And maybe in a year or so, we'll have to have you on and see how life's changed now you're an author. So,
an author, darling. Yes, I may be too busy writing books to pay to come back on, but who knows? Who knows? Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've really enjoyed it.
you're most welcome. It's been lovely to speak. Take care. Well, thank you, Sharon. As always, it was lovely to speak to you, and I really enjoyed the conversation. I hope you enjoyed the conversation listening to it, and you were inspired by Sharon. And go and get her book. I will put the link for pre-order in the show notes so that you can go and grab it. And yeah, I think Sharon's amazing, and I can't wait to read her book. So I hope you have the most wonderful week. And don't forget, you can download the free 3-day Kickstart guide to help you on your journey if you are doing Sober October. And if you have been on this alcohol-free journey for a little bit, or you want to do Sober October and beyond, then join Ditch Drinking for Good group coaching program. And there is also the option, just so you're aware, that you can do Ditch Drinking for Good on a one-to-one private coaching basis with me as well, if that's something you would prefer. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have the most fabulous week, and I will see you on the next one. Take care. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to the Thrive Alcohol Free podcast. If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe so you get alerted every time I drop a new episode. I'd love it if you could rate, review, and share this episode. Feel free to tag me on Instagram at Thrive Alcohol Free and follow me for daily tips. If you would like to work with me, I offer one-to-one coaching sessions and have my signature group coaching program. If you're not yet ready for coaching, I also have a self-paced online course, which is a companion to my book, A Cocktail of Clarity. I will see you in the next episode. Have a wonderful week. Take care.